You're watching Twin Tiers Sunday with Joe Malillo.
Welcome to Twin Tiers Sunday. I'm Joe Malillo. I'm joined by the Corning Children's Center. Now, you guys are Megan Parsons and Peggy Cook. You guys are an essential part of the Corning Children's Center. Can we first go over, I wanted to bring you all in because I find it very interesting what you do at the Corning Children's Center, and I think you do a great job with the younger generation of getting them ready for what is going to be a hard learning experience now in a changing high school. In schools are changing the style and the way that the Common Core standards are now input into the schools. And I just wanted to bring you in to talk about a little bit about what you do and introduce you to our viewers, because I find you very interesting, Peggy, to be honest with you.
Well, thank you. We are proud of what we do at Corning Children's Center. Corning Children's Center has been around since 1980. We started as a program to meet the needs of working families back in 1980, which was a long time ago. There weren't as many working mothers in the world as there are now. Right now, 40% of working mothers have children in care. So our charge is to work with the under 5 crowd, make their daily experience absolutely a delightful learning and caregiving environment, and allow parents to go to work feeling safe, secure, that their children are loved, adored, cared for, and educated.
If you had to put it in a term, how would you put the Corning Children's Center? What would you describe it as? What's the best way to describe it?
A great place for the under 5 crowd.
It's an under 5 crowd. I mean,
it's the under 5 crowd. They're the best.
Tell me a little bit about what you do with the under
Okay.
5 crowd. How many kids do you have at this moment?
We serve about 150 children every day. We're the size of a small elementary school. We have 14 classrooms. Children can come in as young as 6 weeks old, and we typically have them until they leave for kindergarten. And what they do, we're open from 6:45 in the morning until 6:15 at night, so it's a long day. And within that 11-and-a-half-hour period, we're doing everything from playing, singing, dancing, learning, to just the basic caregiving things. Diaper changing. You're glad you're not there?
No, not yet.
Lunchtime is always fun. Also teaching children how to care for each other, care for themselves, care for the things in their environment. And even with our youngest children, the staff are creating daily plans. So they think through what children are learning at each stage of development and make sure that the room is the environment is set up with their things that engage them, capture their attention, and take them to the next stage of development. So all planned out, but all within a fun caregiving environment.
And honestly, as a 26-year-old guy, it sounds fun for me. I'll go and hang out, do colors, because from the color days, there's other obviously events that you guys put on a weekly basis. Tell me a little bit about Color Day, and then go into why you guys are different maybe than some other. Why would they choose?
Okay.
Why would we choose you over maybe another daycare or under 5 program?
Okay. Lots of ways to go with that conversation. We'll start with Color Days.
Sure. Start with the Color Days.
Just because they're such a hoot. Obviously, the under 5 crowd is learning their colors. It's one of the things that everybody wants to make sure their children know before they go to kindergarten. So it used to be that we had a room here doing Red Day today, and then next week somebody else would be doing Red Day. And we decided that it would have far more impact if we had 150 children and 60 staff members all wearing red. Then red is like right there. So once a month we have a Color Day where everybody in the building is wearing that color. So it's learning by immersions, shall we say.
They can't avoid it. It's in their face. It's red.
Exactly.
What would you say? Why would people choose? What makes you guys unique and different?
I think there are lots of things that set us apart. One is we have a long history of understanding developmentally appropriate practice. We have staff that are well-educated and long-tenured. More than 50% of my staff have worked there for 5 years or longer. We have a commitment to rich programming, which includes not just the daily plans within each classroom, but I have a passion for making sure that kids understand that real people do real things. In a
That's interesting.
Here I am on television saying that I think much of children's experience is mediated by the distance of media. So there are lots of people that don't understand that somebody they know could make music, somebody they know could make music, make art, somebody they know could be a machinist for that matter. Real people do real things.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an enrichment program in which we bring in theater people and musicians and artists to work with our kids. We just finished a poetry project where the children write poetry, and we publish a poetry book every year. Those poems are then taken to work with a singer-songwriter who sets one poem for each room to music, and then we make a CD for the center songs.
And then you go into business development where you make them go sell it. Right, I understand. No, that's real. I see
It's
where
cool
you.
stuff.
It's really
cool
interesting.
stuff.
You connect everything for them. We say, look, we
Yes.
can take this and now we can make something even better.
Yep.
And we can keep going. I guess would that be in every sort of subject that you cover?
That's
with
our
the
goal.
kids?
That's our goal. We have special committees within the program to make sure that things we want to get kids excited about are things that staff are excited about. So we have a music committee, an art committee, a STEM committee. You know, everybody's talking about STEM these days. We're talking about it with the under 5 crowd as well. We have a literacy committee, and we have a Montessori committee. Montessori because she was one of the seminal thinkers in what happens in the minds of the under 5 crowd. So
And it's a very, very important time in a person's life is under 5.
Absolutely.
It's the most, their brain grows at the fastest
Yes.
rate.
Yep.
I love the kind of development of a child, and especially in that early age, and it's very interesting. And this was a great start for our show this morning. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue with the Corning Children's Center.
Twin Tier Sunday will return in a moment.
Welcome back to Twin Tier Sunday. I'm Joe Melillo. I'm joined by Megan Parsons, and Peggy Cook. Peggy, we just left talking a little bit about how the child brain develops at a very young age, quickly at an under 5 age, and how important it is that the caretaker know a lot about the child and how the brain develops. What does the Corning Children's Center do for the children and the people, and how do you hire the right people?
yes, it's always an interesting question. One of the things that has been really important research in the field of early ed has been talking about the importance of bonds between children and the caregivers in their environment. In a field where there's a lot of turnover, it's really important for us to make sure we hire staff that are passionate about early ed. That research led us to institute 11 years ago, so well ahead of the curve, a program called Continuity of Caregiving, in which when children come into the program as infants, they stay as a group with their primary caregivers for the first 4 years of their lives, so that those bonds can be well established, not just for the children, but also for the parents, because when you're handing your child over to an institution, trust is fundamentally important, so they have to have that relationship with the caregiving staff. It means that when we hire, we're looking for staff that are not just passionate about early ed, but they are folks that understand the full sequence of development. So they need to understand who a 6-week-old is, and then how they grow to become, in very short time, walking, talking, climbing, challenging.
It's amazing, right?
It is amazing.
And I'm sure you guys see it every day, and it's
Absolutely.
important. But how would you say that then there's a special event going on this week, and it's the
It's the Week of the Young Child.
the Week of the Young Child. Explain a little bit about that.
The Week of the Young Child was started decades ago by the National Association for the Education of Young Children to bring attention to the importance of the first 5 years of a child's life. And in doing that, helping people understand how much they learn, and as you said, how formative those years are in terms of how the brain works. So we are talking about young children, but we're also talking about how important the caregivers are during those first 5 years, because they are the ones that are creating the environment in which the learning happens.
I'm a strong believer in environmental growth, and that someone is made by their environment.
Absolutely.
It's not very much genetics, and that's what I believe, but you guys are actually taking on something that you haven't done in a while, which is applications. Is that correct?
We are. Corning Children's Center, like the rest of the region, is affected by the local economy, and really for the first time in a long time, we have openings at the 3-year-old level and the 4-year-old level anticipated for the fall. So if there are people in your audience that have 3 or 4-year-olds, now's the time to call, come for a tour, ask for a registration package so that we can start planning for that September school year.
Great. And Megan, you're a part of this as well. I'm sorry to be cutting you out. Everybody, Megan Parsons is here. She's one of my good friends from the area, and I appreciate you joining us today. What does the Corning Children's Center mean to you? I mean,
well, that's a fantastic question for me because I just joined the organization in September. So it's been a very fun-filled 7 months of all sorts of learning. I have never really worked with the under 5 crowd. I've worked for a lot of non-for-profits in the area, but this is a whole new segment for me, and it's been really exciting to work with Peggy and the rest of the staff, learning about how we grow those little brains so quickly. And they watch them walk by my office every day, and every day they're about another half an inch taller, so I can kind of measure time by how much the kids are growing. And it's been really amazing to see how incredibly dedicated our staff is. And really, they develop bonds with the parents like nothing I have ever seen in another organization, because when the parents drop their kids off, that bond of trust is so strong that they're going to take care of them while the parents go to work and concentrate on their other things, that they have to be able to trust what's going on in the classrooms. And so that's been really incredible because I have a lot of friends whose children are coming to the center. I mean, that's kind of the age that I'm in, and so I see them coming in and out of the door every day. And it's a very cool experience to watch them learning from our staff and learning the best way to raise their kids within what their own beliefs and fundamental thoughts are.
and talk about a little bit about what you do with the Corning Children's Center.
So my title is Director of Development. I wear a lot of hats over there. So I do some training, I do the marketing and public relations work, and most importantly right now, I do the fundraising and development piece. So we do have a large event that we host in January that's a black tie, very fancy gala. But then the rest of the year, we have to also fundraise to meet a gap of about 36% between what we get from parents for tuition, because what they're paying in only covers about 64% of our costs. So we have to get to 100%, and that's our job, is to fill in that gap, and that's my main responsibility to make sure we get there. So because we are a not-for-profit, we are doing the same kind of work that every other not-for-profit in our region is doing in trying to fill in those gaps and letting the community know that the work that we're doing is going to pay off. It's an investment when people donate money to us and when they donate their time to us, because we are helping to form that under 5 crowd, which is then going to be part of our community in a few years, and then as adults as we move forward. So it's my job to get people in, show them around, tell them what we're doing, and say support us, because the work that we're doing is so incredibly important.
When we get back here on the program, we're going to talk a little bit about how people at home can help, and then where they can go and maybe even go see it, because I bet it's awesome, and I might even go myself. We'll be back in just a moment on Twin Tier Sunday.
Twin Tier Sunday will return in a moment.
Welcome back to Twin Tier Sunday. I'm Joe Malillo, and with me, representatives from the Corning Children's Center, Peggy Cook, Megan Parsons. We left off last segment a little bit about talking about where people can help, or I was going to lead into where people are going to help, or where they can help, and how they can help. Because I'm sure 64% is only paid for, and you got a big gap you got to fill in fundraiser. So Megan, what would you say? Where can people go?
They can come see me. We have a beautiful state-of-the-art facility that we're very lucky to have. It's 4 years new. It's LEED certified, so it's green. It's got a ton of light coming in. There's lots of color, and it's fantastic. It's, I think, a very, very special place. It's located about 3 blocks from the Corning Museum of Glass, sort of tucked away behind Black Service Center and the Staybridge Hotel. We're just a 1-story level, so you don't necessarily see us from the road, but you can find us. We're right there in Corning. And I love to show people around. It's sometimes hard to explain to people, as we have been today, the really amazing things that we do at the center without people being able to see our kids being immersed in these experiences. So when they're learning how to actually serve themselves family style at 2 years old, how to pour their own cup of milk, and how it doesn't matter if it spills all over because it's all about the learning. And when they go into the children's library on Friday afternoon at 2:30 so that they can hear live music and you hear them doing a sing-along and clapping, and when they're outside on the theater stage and you see them doing imaginative play because they learned from a theater professional earlier in the year. Those are the sorts of things I love for our community members to see. So from doing that, we can then have a conversation around, are they interested in being a financial donor? Because the investment that they put into the Corning Children's Center can go so far, and it goes for so many years. Or are they interested in getting involved with us as a volunteer? We have board opportunities, we have other sorts of volunteer opportunities, and so we can find what place makes sense for them to be involved with the work that we're doing. We also have a website, so they can learn a little bit more about what we're doing on there. We're working on making sure that people understand our story. So just connecting with us is a really great first step.
And I guess the resources to parents is important as well. What kind of resources do you guys provide for the parents to maybe get them into this program if maybe they can't afford it?
We offer a sliding fee scale, which is the first place to start, because we recognize that childcare is a big investment for any family. It costs a lot of money, although in our setting, of course, we've already discussed that tuition does not cover the full cost of care, but that sliding fee scale allows us to moderate the impact of the cost. If they're willing to give us their family size and income, we'll slide them into the sliding fee scale. Once in our doors, it starts with the relationship we have with them. We see them every morning and every night. We see mom and dad. It's interesting to me and a delight to me how many fathers are fully engaged in the daily lives of their children. So it's
No more Mr. Mom, right?
no.
Now it's Mr. and Mrs. Parents, always.
Exactly. And that's an absolute delight. But they have questions. You know, everybody wants to know, is this normal? And they want to be reassured if it is. They want to have honest answers if it's not, so that they can start sort of working their way through the identification and problem solving associated with delays that often emerge in the under 5 years.
And what delays, maybe just real quickly for someone that piques my interest a little bit, what kind of delays do you mean? That means you start seeing ADD at that age? Do you start seeing ADHD?
You do. You also, of course, start seeing delays in motor development, in language development, in social skills. And I think what captured me about working with the under 5 crowd is that intervention in those early years I've watched make an enormous difference in the outcomes for those kids.
It's amazing. And that's just attention. It's pure attention.
It is. It's understanding child development.
That's true.
And it's working in partnership with the families, because those moments are hard for people to sort of get their heads around and their hearts around. And then being with them through the process.
And then Megan, there's also, I wanted to bring it back before I forgot about the gala. There's things like the gala, which is pretty interesting. Tell us about that.
So the Blue Moon Ball is a very snazzy event that we have at the Corning Museum of Glass in January, and I was able to plan my first one this year, like right out of the chute. I came in September and we planned it very quickly. But it's a really fantastic opportunity to bring together people so that they can relax and have a fun night and purchase auction items, get to know more of the work that we're doing, and come together. We have We're working on our second generation of children now that we're taking care of. So we have parents that have had an interaction with us since the 80s and 90s. So it's really incredible to have this amazing community of support and to have that night every year where we can all come together, all supporting the work that we do.
And it's a great, anything that can help. And it's a fundraiser as well.
It is a fundraiser, yeah.
And I'll put information on the website on WENY.com so that people can actually go and find you guys and get in touch and the whole 9 yards. I guess I kind of really quickly wanted to talk about maybe one experience that you had or something that you learned that maybe you didn't know until you started working with these kids.
I think one of the things that is very clear to me is that we are all on a path toward development. Yes, it starts with the under 5 crowd, but in my mind, if you understand that development happens and unfolds in a supportive environment, you are prepared to not just support children, but to support parents in their learning and also to, of course, support staff in their learning.
And then Megan, you as well. I mean, you've short time, but a lot can be learned.
Absolutely. And one of the things for me that's been really interesting is how much that time is important, that 0 to 5 years old is important in getting kids ready for school and helping them to be ready for kindergarten so that when they walk in those doors, they are fully prepared and ready to learn and be a part of that classroom community and be able to just grow and do what they're supposed to do.
And I've seen 4 and 5 year olds, and they're full of life, and they
Oh
can
my
only
gosh,
bring that.
they're the best.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much
Yeah.
for the insight, and I'm glad to have you guys in here because development of a child is one of the most important things for our society as well. So thank you so much for coming, and thanks for watching, everyone. This is Twin Tier Sunday, and I'm Joe Malillo with the Corning Children's Center.